and welcome to Digital Sim Gaming. I'm Syntosis, and this is another episode of OceanBlock2. Right, we left off last time where I didn't have a lot of things. I got a lot of things, so a couple of minutes, we're going to go through the base tour. Okay, we've got a few more of these, we've got a few more of these, we've also got P2P tunnels, which I'll explain shortly. We've also got these things, which are crafting, storage, and crafting co-process units. We've got two there, two of each. So basically it means that we can do multiple sets of crafting, so that's quite cool. We've got one extended, they're all mix and match from stuff that I've got through airdrops and a couple of 256Ks that obviously I've made. But pretty much we've gone into here and just typed in 256 and then hit the button, hit next, and it tells me that it will go and do that kind of stuff. Now the next one is 256 million mega storage, which we are still quite a lot way off. We're still a ton of redstone, a ton of quartz, and a ton of gold off. So we just got to wait for that to accumulate. Nothing done with the wireless. We've got the requesters in the system, which I haven't done anything with at the moment. We've got these things. So basically I hooked up a netherite cobble generator. I've switched it to condenser output. You put a storage component in, and then basically it makes matter balls. That literally is it. 256 and it makes a matter ball. And I've just been putting a few into the system, so I've done it a couple of times. We've got our chest stuff there with some random things. We've got this ender tank coming from the mob farm, which is filling up essence so that I can then enchant stuff over here, which I have done and I will show you in a second. We've got a sag mill here with an ME pattern provider, which we haven't got any patterns in. We've got a pattern provider which is for energized Certus quartz crystal, which basically goes in there and then charges up and then comes back out. And then we've also got one for sand, which goes into the alloy smelter because it's quick. We've got two reaction chambers which are not in use at the moment, but I will be putting them through their paces. We've got a fluid storage card here. Just one. We've got lava up in the other thing, but we've got water in this one. Okay, so it's slowly ticking up. So we're able to use water now in the crafting, which is kind of cool. You've seen all these. These are basically just the inscribers that do stuff, and there was a new one there, which is the inscriber accumulation press. So the accumulation is this one. So it is an inscriber calculation press, an inscriber engineering press, plus one a singularity, which creates an accumulation press. So make more of these first, because it will destroy the ones that you've got. Now those singularities, I don't know where they come from, but I got them from airdrops. So, oh, there we are. Matter into a singularity, not and a little bit of lava. So not really a massive thing, but you know, hello, loot drops, pretty cool. These gargantuan flux storage have all come from airdrops, which is just insane. I got 5 of them from airdrops. We've got the growth accelerator, but none of this is powered anymore, so that's, you know, a thing. We've got obviously this thing. I've cleaned it out a little bit. We'll go over to the main section. So this bit here, I've done a giant room with tons of lighting and a ton of these. So we've got P2P tunnels. So P2P tunnels is basically a way of transferring 64 channels across one thing. So if you were to do a dense cable here, it can only handle 64 channels. If you do a smart cable, it can only handle 16 channels. Now, how about putting a P2P on one end and a P2P on the other? So 64 channels gets compressed into one P2P channel, which means now we can send 9 times 64 channels on that cable, right? So a P2P, one channel is 64, and then we split them out on the P2Ps. I mean, it's probably easier to find this over here. So you see here, we've got one cable. Now this cable goes all the way around, as you see, and it comes under here. It comes up to here, and it exports out 64 channels on that P2P, but it's only one channel in the ME Smart Storage, but it's 64 coming out there, right? Now, if I go over to here, you can see another 64 down there. There you go, P2P tunnel. goes into 64, which then comes out here into 16. Now, because there's 64, that dense smart cable can then be split so that we can use all 64 channels. And if you go down here, you can see the power of it. We've got 64 channels coming out of here, like there, and then we're using 16 of them on here, but we can put 16 up this way and we can put 16 out this way. Just as long as it totals 64, it's fine. But it's one channel for length or distance. So yeah, really, really powerful. Now, I've taken this from upstairs and I've switched it up a bit. So if you have a look here, we have a storage controller, which I have linked all of these drawers. I've put some expansion cards in there. Don't get me wrong, I put one Neverite upgrade in, which expanded how far this can reach. But it can actually handle all of these drawers. So now all of these drawers are all spaced out and all nicely aligned, but they're all connected to the ME storage by a one channel. Because we're using a storage upgrade, or a storage something or other. What's it called? Storage. Where are we? Come on, I know you're there. There we go. So storage bus. We're using the storage bus on the drawer. The drawer is connected to all the other drawers, or the drawer controller is connected to all the other drawers, but we're using the storage bus on the drawer. So we've got one connection to ME, or to applied energistic, AE2. Sorry, I always called it ME because it used to be called ME. But anyway, applied energistics, right? So AE2, we've got one channel which is connected to the storage bus, but the storage bus is connected to all of these drawers. Now, a little bit more complicated over here, we've got outputs going into here, so it goes into one, so that we use one import bus. So it's just one channel there. Otherwise, we would have to have import buses on all of these, which to me sounded stupid. We have got export channels on each one of these, so we're doing things a little bit simpler. We're taking away the need for the redstone, or we're taking away for the need of the diamond, or the whatever it is. So to make this processing pattern infused alloy, we need one copper, but we've already got it preloaded with redstone. So it kind of takes away one input, because the input would be copper and redstone. But instead of having to eke out and work out what kind of levels or how much we would need to use, we basically just go, well, anything that goes into here that uses redstone will do. So it makes this simpler as well, because the elite control circuit and the reinforced alloy both use diamond to then produce their next item. So it just, because we're preloading those, it's good. The same with this one. These two patterns both used reinforced obsidian. The reinforced obsidian is done here, which is essentially gold and then obsidian, and then redstone, and then these two are done in here. Now this one here is the crusher. So this is the crushing pattern for obviously obsidian, diamond, some osmium dust, and also some gold dust, because I have put upgrades on these machines and they require the dust. So we've got a crusher crushing those when we need them. And I've upgraded this to the basic factory, right? So I want to upgrade to the next tier of factory for that. Alright, so if I go to mechanism, we can see that in the system I've already got the basic tier installer, which is why that is on the basic tier, because I used it. I got it from an airdrop. I'm happy. Yeah. The next one though is the advanced tier installer, which is this thing. So I need advanced control circuits. Realistically, what we would do is we just bypass all this crap. We'll just go to this one that I want, and we'll go there, and then that's it. Because what we can do is we can just scroll down to all of the items that we've got in the system, and then we can go to this and we can say, well, what do we need? And it says here we need an elite machine core, which means that we can then go back to here and go, okay, we need an elite machine core because we haven't programmed that. Now this is where it gets complicated, because this is going to be used on Oritech. So we've got to work out how we use Oritech to do this new thing. Now I'm pretty sure it's using one of the advanced things upstairs to produce this advanced computing engine. Yeah, there we go, the engraver. So we might need another engraving machine, or an atomic forge, should I say, down here. And we also need to make silicon wafers, which again is the atomic forge. So, do we do another atomic forge? We would need another sculk in a centrifuge. Let's get two. Let's get two, because I can show you the rest of the base. So basically, we've got two channels coming out of here, right? So we've got one P2P pipe, but we've got a dense cable, which is supplying 16 channels there, another dense cable going along here, which is supplying another 16 channels. So what I will do is extend the dense cable so that it will then just expand, and we'll do another 2 rows maybe. Well, we will do another 2 rows, which will give us 64 of those things. So yeah, that should give us quite a bit. Right, upstairs has changed considerably too. Let's sleep through the night so we don't get those things shooting on our head. Okay. Right, so all of this stuff has not changed. This stuff over here has changed a little because we've run out of power, and I only noticed that earlier. So we've got no power in here, which means this is not being fed, which means none of the other stuff is being fed. So let's go and get some power, actually. We're going to skip through all of these upgrades for the moment, and we're going to go over to here, and we're looking at flux. So flux is another thing that I've introduced, right? And I programmed it all into the system as well. Basically, flux is wireless power. So you've got these things called plugs, which receive energy. So that's on top of the nuclear reactor and all that kind of stuff, and that basically pumps energy into the flux system. A flux point provides energy to anything that it touches, and then you've got the flux controller, which enables your essential, bits to the Wi-Fi network. And then you've got basic storage, which stores 2 million. You've got Herculean, which is 16 million. You've got Gargantuan, which is 128 million. Now, I haven't made any of these. I was going to, but I got my first one from an airdrop, and then I didn't even have enough power to store 128 million. So I didn't make another one, and then I got another 4. So yeah, happy days. Right, so what we've got here is basically flux, and flux. So we want stuff that provides it, right? So we're missing obsidian, which is never a good thing. But what I will teach. Do I know? Oh, actually, has the system obsidian? Right, we've got 31k of that, but I haven't taught it how to use obsidian. So if we go down here, I'm going to drop in, and then I'm going to hit that, and then I'm going to go, right, obsidian is this. So we're going to quickly shove that in the network, like so. And then there we go. Now we can make as many as we want, because obsidian is now a thing. So let's go and see what else we need. We need cables, don't we? Cables. Crap. We need power cables specifically, and Ender IO ones are the ones that I've been favouring at the moment because I have some. There we go. Yeah, they were in there. Oh, hang on. No, I didn't. Oh, that receives energy. Yes, and that basically gives energy. So we're going to put those ones back in there for the moment. We're going to go that way. So if we go over to our plants and stuff, actually let's be smart about this. Let's just break that block there, and then just shove the power in the middle, and then that should get power. That should get power. That's all going into the ender chest, which is then linked to the network. We're all happy. We didn't even need those. Perfect. Right, skulk over here. I've still got the little bit of set up so that we can do crystals. We've got the basic stuff, which is the shadow particle, goo, and all that kind of stuff. The only other thing that I've upgraded in terms of power and basically ender tanks is this setup. So this setup is. I'm going to turn the thing on. But yeah, so basically this is just ticking along. These have got void upgrades in, so as soon as they get too much, they just void. And then anything that's rubbish goes in there. But all of the essences and stuff go in and get voided or go where they need to go. I haven't upgraded all of this cabling yet because I don't need to, because we're using ender chests. We do have a cable on the bottom which is connected to our ME storage. So we've got a storage bus there, but other than that, there's nothing else over there. We've got this thing which has stayed the same, but just got an ender chest instead. So if I want to smelt some stuff, I can just chuck it in there. We've got all this which has been upgraded to ender, no, not ender, sorry, upgraded to ME. And also round the back, instead of going ME, I just went ender chest. So everything goes into the ender chest and then it gets filters out and it exports downstairs. So yeah, all good. This little setup changed up, or changed up a little bit. It hasn't really changed that much. It's still producing lava and it's still producing lava over there. These things are beacons. I haven't completed the beacon setup because I don't need to, because this thing basically uses Never Stars, which is fine. We've got those. We've got Obsidian as well. And if you have a look, it's 800% efficiency, so that's why they're being used. So I use this one to do seeds and stuff, and this one over here is automated for flux. So basically you put skystone dust in lava and it creates flux. So yeah, I can now request it and it will do that. This is still not hooked up to the system. This thing is hooked up now, so we've got, you know, ME down there, and we've got all this stuff. That's still hooked up to the lava system. I don't see why I should change that. This is now as well automated, so that if I want to do, you know, like blocks, or I want to do different bits and pieces, it just goes into the same chest and then it gets imported into the system. So we've now got a ME terminal, or an applied logistics terminal instead of anything else. Over here is an improved blast furnace. So the improved blast furnace was actually a quest up here with immersive engineering, and this is just quick steel essentially. Blocks of iron, steel, coal coke. Did that work? Well, it must do, because it's taking the coal coke from here and it's putting the coal coke in here, and then it's generating steel. So we should be generating steel blocks, I think. Yeah, there we go. We've got 51 steel blocks. Now, the reason why we're generating steel is actually not for the steel. We're generating steel for the byproduct, which is slag. Now, slag is used... so if I go and have a look at this, you see the byproduct. That's the reason why we're using it. So slag is used to create industrial fertilizer with some sulfur, some nitrate, and, you know, so nitrate is from saltpeter. I don't know whether we can get it anywhere else. Probably, yeah, there's probably a thing for it somewhere. Yeah, it's somewhere. Although, is it somewhere? Because that doesn't... Oh, it comes from dust, and dust. Which, we have dust over there. We don't, do we? Or do we? We have dust? Yeah, we have dust. There we go. So it's a byproduct of this. So yeah, saltpeter is mixed with all the other stuff, and then that creates industrial... let me just do one. Creates industrial things. No, not there. This one. There we go. Industrial fertilizer, which basically... if we go and click it, and right click it, and then it'll tell you it's a 1.6 modifier instead of bone meal, which is 1.3. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but it does help. Most of these have been upgraded to you know, bigger upgrades, and I've just extended the system by a couple. I will eventually extend it a bit more because it's now getting a little bit small. These I keep getting in loot chests, well, not loot chests, but airdrops. So I just build them, and they produce 1,000 a tick. Like 1,024, like easy. It's just nice. This thing is a fragment forge, which obviously we saw a little while ago. These things just continuously run to produce plastic now. So we export the packed wheat. So wheat goes into the system, gets generated as packed wheat, and then comes out and then produces plastic. And then we've got, so yeah, produces plastic. Then we've got this, which basically will produce well, we've got uranium. So we've got the uranium stuff, and then obviously that gets sag milled once we've got it in there, and then it goes into here, produces this, we've seen all this anyway, but then it goes into here. We've got 2,000 of them right now. This thing is doing okay now. We got a little bit hairy when I was switching over the system because I forgot to put blue ice in the system, and then the alarm started blaring, and luckily I had blue ice, so it cooled all the system down instead of blowing up. So that was nice. But yeah, I mean, we're quite lucky with that. The only issue that we've got is uranium, really. But you know, we've got 2,000 uranium in the system, and it is keeping up. Like, the uranium does work, and it's, you know, it's enough. Obviously, I've paused the production on there because we've got tons of these little crystal things. None of this has really changed. These are the older systems, which I'm going to move downstairs at some point. But we've still got all the loop fabricators and all that kind of stuff. The pneumatic stuff hasn't changed. This hasn't changed. This hasn't changed. I've done a bunch of these crystals, so I think we've got like 14 or something of them. But other than that, that's not changed. It's just downstairs, really, and the fact that, you know, this is all nice and new now because, well, we've just removed everything. It's all downstairs over there. So yeah, that is where we are. Also, loot that we've got has given us the ability. Like, the only thing that was missing is Abyssal Pearl. So I went out and started killing mobs. So if you have a look at the map, just down here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I went to all of those 5 and killed everything because obviously it's on a spawn thing, and yeah, we've got enough to make a couple of Abyssal Pearls. So the Echo Shard, the Promethium, the Heisenberg, I got that and that actually from airdrops. So this one, fairly easy to make. I say fairly easy, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. This one, I've got loot drops of that, and obviously I can make that. So we could do the engraver machine and make our own stuff there, but I got it from a loot drop. I got a few from a loot drop, and I've also got Promethium from a loot drop as well, which again, we could make. We're just fortunate enough that we don't have to because we got it from a loot drop. So, if we go... Oh, and I also made a temporal pouch, right? So temporal pouch is fairly straightforward, as you can see. Blocks of raw coal and that kind of stuff that we've already got. Now that is basically time in a bottle. It's just Dyer's one. No, it's not Dyer's one actually. But anyway, I don't even know if it is Dyer's one. But Direwolf 20 introduced me to time in a bottle, and I love it. So yeah, the temporal pouch, perfect. Speed things up, go for it. Right, so I've got this chest over here with the 4 items that we need plus the Abyssal Pearl. So I'm going to make this crystal that we have needed and has taken me a fair while to get. But once we've got this crystal, we get 5 minutes of rift time. And then we've got to go back and we've got to do more things to get more rift time, is what I understand. Rift attenuation crystal. Yeah, there we go. Right, so we've got 4 of them. Really? Okay, that's insane. Why do I need 4? Maybe I just need to store some somewhere so we don't get stupid shit. The rift will gain rift charge based on the item that is crafted. The rift attenuation is next tier craft. When crafting the crystal, only whatever. Right, so we need the guru responds. What's this one? Okay, we must have done that at some point. Interesting enough, it seems the armor, the goo. Oh, okay, yeah. I created Eclipse alloy armor, which I'll go through in a moment. So that's that. What else have we got? These. Okay, so time crystals. The crystal that I've made only buys me about 5 minutes, but there is something I can use to stabilize myself. 5 minutes is not enough. Find time crystals within the rift dimension. Now, I've got a couple of these through airdrops, but you can make them. right? Which you use like swappers and do whole different things. You have to use the advanced swappers, and then you have to do the budding time, but you have to put it into the overworld, the nether. So you've got to put it in there so that it can absorb the thing from it and then move it to the next place, and you can only do that using advanced swappers. It's insane, so we're going to go down that route at some point. Right, so hopefully I can stabilize. The craft itself extends your time, not the crystal. Okay, so we need a whole bunch of stuff. These ones should be okay, and I've got a couple of crystals, so maybe, just maybe, we could have a look at that one now. Now, let's have a look. Obviously, we'll put that back in there. We've got an abyssal pearl, which we'll put back in there. We need to make... What do I need to make? Oh, yeah, I was making something else, wasn't I? But then I got sidetracked. Okay, so soul binding. We've got a soul binding system. Alright, so we need an enderman. Ah, crap. How do I feel that? Why do I feel that that's going to be a pain? What's this one? Oh, that one's fairly easy. Dimensional shards are pretty simple to make, so that's fine. We can make that one. Alright, we're going to put that in the chest. What's this stuff? So Abra's open current cowl about right, okay. So we need to make this. This looks like... Oh man. Yeah, okay. We've got to get into all that stuff. I'm not going to do that right now, but I am going to look at the rift attenuation crystals. We're going to stick one of those in there, and we're going to put that in there, because we know that we need to make another crystal. So I'm going to leave one of those crystals in there. The ultimate attenuation crystal is a whole bunch more stuff. We've got that, or we can make that. We can definitely make that, and that we've already got a bunch of, so that's fine. And this time crystal block, we probably don't have enough time crystals, so we probably have to make some. So the rift stuff will have to wait until I've got a little bit more resources, but yeah, that's not too bad. Okay, we can deal with that. Right, what was I doing? I was doing something else, wasn't I? Ah, yes, I was going to put stuff in a spinny thing. That's right. Because I wanted two things out of it. So if I go here and then put that in there, this should give me what I wanted, which was two of these enderic compounds. Because we wanted to make the atomic forge, or I wanted to make the atomic forge. So we're going to automate the atomic forge down there. Obviously I still need to automate some of the reaction chamber stuff as well, so that we can get some more stuff. But we're at that point where we're running out of storage again. And I've got so many like things downstairs, but we're just running out of storage. So I think what I'm going to do is the atomic forge. I mean, you've seen me make that before. So I think this episode we're going to leave that there. You know what I need to do. I need to generate the atomic stuff. I need to get a load more resources so that we can then get stuff started. And I'm going to try and get the stuff together for time crystals and see whether we can actually automate that and see how that works. But at the moment, that's pretty much where we are. There's just a whole bunch of resources to go, but I didn't want to leave it too far, or I didn't want to leave it too much. So,
someone is at the front door.
Without being, annoyed by the front door, plus I need to go. But yeah, no, I'm going to collect some more resources, get that stuff done, and then do that in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. Yeah, like, subscribe, do all that really cool stuff, and I will see you in the next episode. I've been Santosis, you've been awesome. Leaders.